This is an explanation of the Curriculum Organiser Australia, the most comprehensive package that helps teachers to translate the Australian curriculum into classroom action. In doing so, we answer the key questions, that is, firstly, why we teach, which includes all of the system requirements from ACARA, the VCAA and the Department of Education. Secondly, we have a set of documents which answers the question, what do we teach when? These are the school coordination documents to ensure that we have a comprehensive, coherent and developmental program. Thirdly, we have questions which are addressed by the teacher in the classroom. How do I teach? That is, the learning strategies. With what? The resources. So what? The assessment tasks and criteria. And how well? The standards. And finally, all of this can be adapted and modified to be able to suit the requirements of the student. And so the program can be negotiated and developed and differentiated for individual students. We're now going to look at the structure of the Curriculum Organiser program. We'll notice that the structure replicates the answers that we have in the screen. There's the system requirements, there's school overview, and then there are teaching documents. I'm now going to go to the teaching documents, in this case, Year 1. Having opened up Year 1, we can see three types of folders. The red folders are for the teachers to produce their personal program plans. The folders with the Australian curriculum flag are those which contain the Australian curriculum materials. And those in the yellow folders are the current VELS materials. Today we're going to focus on the Australian curriculum materials. I click on the little arrow to the left-hand side, and in the case of science, and it opens up the subfolders which again answer the corresponding questions. We first of all have the Australian curriculum requirements answering the question why we teach. Then we have the programming documents, which answers the question what we teach when, and then we have the green folders, which are the teacher documents, which assist the teacher to translate the materials or requirements into classroom action. We look at the four layers. First of all, the content descriptions. Open up the content description page, and in green font, which represents the Australian curriculum, on one page we have all the requirements, in this case for science in Year 1. To close the folder, I click on the little black arrow pointing down. The next of the requirements are the achievement standards. The achievement standards are the criteria that have been developed by ACARA to help teachers to be able to recognise the quality of the learning that's required for students to be able to achieve the required standard. These are presented as checklists to enable teachers to quickly and easily meet the requirements. So we've looked at why we teach, which are the requirements. We're now going to look at how we meet those requirements. To help us, we have programming documents. The programming documents comprise, first of all, a scope and sequence chart. And in this case, we have a science scope and sequence, which includes all of the requirements on one page. Again, in green font, the requirements are listed through codes and also through the titles, so that in Year 1, teachers are required to teach living things and habitats in biological science, and in physical change and physical science, changes in sky and landscape in science for earth and space science, and light and sound in physical science. A teacher may then delete the units which have been represented in blue and write their own units. So the scope and sequence provides us with an overview. Now we look at the programs which are more specific. And so in this case, we have a biological science program which shows, again in green font, at the top of every page are the requirements. And then down in the teaching program section, we have a summary of the program that teachers may choose to be able to implement this plan. And so in this case, we've got environmental habitat, birds or insects, and they include the title of the documents, the investigations and some resources and some links to integrated units as required. So that's a form of program which helps teachers to answer what we teach when. The next series of documents are those which apply to the classroom work, and so we have teaching units. The teaching units, again, have the requirements at the top of the page in green font. And in the left-hand column, we have teacher knowledge, or the key understandings, the big powerful ideas which underpin the teacher's work. And in the right-hand side, we have teaching strategies. The teaching strategies follow the science inquiry process, which corresponds to 6 hats of thinking and to Bloom's taxonomy. So in this case, we engage the students, which is like red hat thinking, where we have built in the feelings. We then adopt white hat thinking, which is providing some information, and then blue hat thinking, blue sky, providing the overview, where they organise the information, and finally green hat thinking, where teachers give the children the opportunity to be able to apply their knowledge in another context, to be able to demonstrate their understanding. Resources are also provided either as links, and in this particular case we have also a learning object. The learning object is shown in maroon font, and so that students may go into Scootle and enter L1119 Garden Detective and engage in that interactive activity. You will notice that there is an assessment task at the bottom of each of these teaching units and the standards, and then at the bottom of every page is a lesson planner which enables the teachers to be able to produce their own individual lessons using the stimulus material above, and then be able to edit this and modify and adapt to suit the requirements for their children. So we've understood the structure. We have gone from the Australian curriculum, content descriptions and achievement standards, to the programs and then to the teaching units. We can edit all of these documents. And so to edit a document, we select it firstly, and have a blue line which across the page in environmental habitat, and then I use the right click. The right click is used to open the menu. We only use the right click to open the menu. All other actions are undertaken using the left click. The menu in this case has given me the opportunity to download a document. So I click on download document, which means that the document is then converted from a PDF online document to an offline document presented in Word. It is now a Word document, and so teachers are able to then copy and paste the documents and paste them into their lesson plans, then edit these documents as they might like. So that in which case the teacher can then make decisions which might be appropriate for their children. They can then save this document, file save as, just as you do with any other document, and then place it into an appropriate folder, which I'll come back to later. So we've learned so far how to navigate through the tree by using the folders, the little arrows to the left-hand side, to open and close these folders. And now we've got a situation where the directory tree is all closed up, so it's tidy again. So the Curriculum Organiser, in effect, replaces the kitchen table, and instead of having books scattered, we have a organised directory tree. There is another method of finding documents. This method is to use the CUI search function. So in this case, I'm going to enter the words full stops, and I can then go through a search. I could adapt the search by using the top level folder to be able to then find documents for specific year levels, but in this case, I'm merely going to search all documents throughout the 12,000 pages of materials that we have available in the Curriculum Organiser to be able to help teachers to plan quickly and efficiently. In this case, there's 14 folders. Each of these folders contains 6 documents, and I'm now able to choose from these documents. So I could, for example, choose Year 2, full stops and capital letters. The pathway is demonstrated there, and the descriptor is then outlined below that. We notice that I have 3 options. I can choose preview, download, or copy. Preview enables me to look at the documents. So in this case, I'm examining a document to see if it might be appropriate for my children. And so we've got full stops, capital letters for Year 2. Again, left-hand side is teacher knowledge, right-hand side is student activities, and at the bottom of the page we have the teaching notes. I consider that to be appropriate, for it meets the requirements at the top of the page, which is the content description and the code. I can then return to the search, and now I'm going to decide I'm going to copy this document and paste it into my personal programming. I click on copy, and it has gone a little bit grey. I'm then able to go over into my plans, and in my plans I've created folders, in this case for English, and so I can place this document and paste it into my teaching units, and so that the document is then stored in my folders. I can also download that document, so I click on download, and again it transfers it from an online document and converts it into Word as an offline document. I'm now able again to edit this document and copy and paste to create my lesson plans so that I can then quickly establish my learning program and my individual lessons. So the search function is a powerful function for it enables people to search for documents that might be required within a particular title, but also we are able to copy and paste the codes, and the codes, it will search for codes as well, and so teachers then able to identify any areas which they may not have covered in their normal program, and then find all relevant documents. So in this case, I've put in the code Australian Curriculum English Language 1465, and it has identified 3 folders of documents. And again, I could then preview this information, I could download or copy. So in this case, that code has brought up another topic here which relates to this particular code, and so I've been able to identify another document which may be appropriate for my work, and I can then copy that document, take it over to my Year 2 plans in this case, and paste it into Year 2, and I've then can quickly accumulate all the documents that I may need to teach that chosen topic. So what we have done is we have identified our topics, we've identified the codes, and in each case placed them in the search text box, the CUI box, and quickly found documents that may be used for my learning program. The Curriculum Organiser is an organiser. It enables people to bring documents together from all sources, whether they be within the Curriculum Organiser, or they can upload personal documents or documents from the school folders. In the case of Year 1, I've created some folders. I have an English, Mathematics, History, Science, Geography and Inquiry folders. If I open up the English folder, we've replicated the structure. We have the Australian curriculum documents, programs, teaching units and resources. And so under Australian curriculum, I've merely copied and pasted documents to show the content descriptions. I've got programs in English, which includes checklists for teachers to be able to identify specific content that may be appropriate for that section. And we have teaching units. In this case includes fairy tales, and so that again at the top of each page, the green font, left hand side teacher knowledge, right hand side student activities, followed by assessment tasks, standards and teaching units. So you can see the structure is the same to enable teachers to then appreciate the planning document flow and move from one document to another very quickly to be able to plan with limited time so that teachers can focus on teaching. Understanding the planning document flow is an important part of this, so that teachers merely search for their units, select say 10 units for 10 weeks, place those 10 teaching units within the teaching units folder, convert them into lesson plans, and the entire term's work can be prepared quickly. In addition to that, we have resources which are provided, and resources include narratives. There's over 400 narratives, which includes comprehension worksheets. So in this case, we've got Can You Play? There's a text for teachers to be able to then provide activities for students, and these can be adapted and modified to be able to suit the children. Here's a second example of a narrative which includes a vocabulary, the text, and then we have the questions which would then follow. So we have teaching units for each of the subject areas for each of the year levels. There are hundreds of those units, and all of these are designed to help teachers to be able to plan quickly and efficiently and then to focus on their teaching. There is a second method of programming, and that is using the integrated approach or the inquiry approach. So notice that in the columns we have English, mathematics, science, history and integrated units. I click on the little arrow to the left hand side to open up integrated units, and we have a range of units which we could choose. We have included in this are some of the primary connections materials, and for example Spinning in Space, Mini Beasts and Material World, Collecting Colour are examples of the primary connections. So I click on Mini Beasts, Bug Me. In this case I have a graphic organiser, GO means graphic organiser, which is the overview of the topic, which enables teachers then to place all of the potential activities on one page. This can be used as a negotiating tool. So the document can be converted into Word, and materials could then be identified, learning activities for the grade 1s, grade 2 and grade 3. So we may have the same topic, and in some cases shared activities, and in other cases they will be differentiated according to the class or even according to the individuals. So we have a one-page document which is the overview of the term's work, all of which can be adapted and modified and negotiated and differentiated to provide for students at different stages. The second of the documents in the integrated approach are integrated unit elaborations. In this case, we've got humanities, English and mathematics on the first page. On the second page, we have science, physical, personal, social learning and the arts. And the final page, we have a term planner, which enables teachers then to be able to merely copy and paste documents from the integrated unit into the term planner. Again, we select the documents. The blue line indicates that the document has been chosen. I right-click and download the documents. The documents can then be edited in Word, and I can then copy and paste materials from the text and adapt and modify and negotiate, follow through questions. That can be saved into my personal planning folder, which I'm going to now explain in more detail. The Curriculum Organiser contains thousands of documents, and also it enables teachers to create their own folders and upload documents. To upload a document, we merely use a right click and upload. So a right click, upload a document, enables me then to browse for a document. I can then find the documents that might be appropriate and be able then to choose a document, for example, interpersonal developments, personal relationships, open the document, and then I click OK. That document has now been uploaded. So any documents which are available from any source can then be uploaded to be able to bring all the documents together in one location. So we can upload documents, but we can also organise documents. So to organise the documents, I click on a folder, right click and create a new folder. Then the new folder, and I can then type into this document, so I click on, say, English and click OK. It's created an English folder. I can then create subfolders underneath that. So new folder, I can make a folder for the Australian curriculum, for example. So I put the Australian curriculum and click OK. And I can colour that folder. So I change colour and I click on the default button, so they use the Australian curriculum flag as to change the colour. I can then create another folder, for example, new folder. I could create a document for programs. And click OK. And then I can change the colour of that folder. And so I change colour. In this case it's blue because we have a consistent approach to our colouring. Now I've got my documents. I can then reorder these, drag them around to replace them. I could also drag and drop documents from for example, from my English program. And I've got the content descriptions. I can merely copy and paste this and copy that and paste it into the Australian curriculum folder. And so in which case I'm able to assemble documents very easily. So in summary, we have the Australian curriculum included within the Curriculum Organiser program. It is organised into year levels, and within each year level we have the Australian curriculum documents and the VELS materials. As the Australian curriculum is published, it replaces VELS. Within each of the subject areas, we have the 4 layers. We have the content descriptions and achievement standards, we have the programs, and then we have teaching units. The teaching units meet the requirements of all of the Australian curriculum codes, and so the teacher can merely sample these materials, copy the materials, paste them into their My Plans to then assemble them and then create their own folders to be able to organise that material. We can follow a subject organisation, or we can use an integrated inquiry approach, or we can do a blend of the two. There are many documents within the Curriculum Organiser, and sometimes it might be difficult for people to find these documents. The search function is of course a very important function because you can put any word into the centre and you will then be able to find those documents. Or you can use a contents page. The contents page is like the contents page of a book. It's the beginning of the book, and within that book there's a list of all of the materials which are available in that program. And so this includes things like activities for, in this case, for teaching of phonics. If you wished, a teacher can merely click on the contents page, scroll down, identify the resources that are required, click on the resource, open it up, and it immediately appears as a Word document. So in this case, we have a jolly phonics type approach, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and verbal approach to the teaching of the consonant M. And we identified this within the contents page. This is a brief summary of the Curriculum Organiser. There are, of course, many approaches which can be adapted to be able to maximise the benefits of the program. We're therefore prepared to visit your school to provide an initial introduction and give you the 45-page booklet which accompanies this, and or we can provide a 1-hour workshop after school for all staff at no cost to be able to examine the program and to appreciate its benefits. We look forward to working with you.